dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking veteran. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car.
So by now, I'm pretty sure you all have heard about that shooting in Minneapolis with the ICE agent and whatever that young lady's name was. I know that's going to probably trigger a bunch of you guys out there, but I want to talk about, put my 2 cents in the whole thing, since, I did a little bit of law enforcement in my lifetime. So I think I've seen a lot of people making comments and making, these crazy assumptions and, pretty much talking like they know what they're talking about. Now, I'm not going to say I'm no professional. I'm not going to say, hey, I know the letter of the law to the T, because that would be another lie. All this will probably end up in court anyways, and it's got to take its process. However, I've even heard friends of mine talking about this situation, saying how this is all Trump's fault. From a law enforcement perspective, taking away Trump, taking away all the politics, just a law enforcement perspective. ICE agents are out there doing a job. At one point, I actually wanted to be an ICE agent. I didn't make the cut. But seeing these 2 ladies out there antagonizing, instigating the officers, right? Telling them, what's up, big boy? And, I'm not mad at you. Or I think the details on this was that they were trying to obstruct, which, by the way, you have a right to protest all you want. Anywhere in the country, you can protest. It doesn't matter if it's state, local, federal, whatever. You have a right to protest. That's your right. That's your constitutionally God-given right. However, when you obstruct any officer, whether that's state, local, or federal, in the duties of their job, especially when it has nothing to do with you, that's illegal. And by the looks of this video and by the looks of what has occurred and was transpired in the last 48 hours or so, it looks like that's what this lady was doing, Miss Good, or whatever her name was. And unfortunately, she lost her life, right? So breaking down a little bit of this, it's real simple. A very wise man once said this.
Have you ever been face to face with a police officer and wondered, is he about to kick my ass? Well, wonder no more. If you follow these easy tips, you'll be fine. First, obey the law. Laws were made for a reason. Think of them as hints. You've heard people say, man, I wouldn't do that shit if I was you. Well, here's some of that shit.
Just like Chris Rock said, man, obey the law. That's all you have to do. Obey the law. That applies to everything. And what drives me insane right now is that they're making so much noise about this person being shot by agents, only because right now, politically, that's the whole thing. But when it was Charlie Kirk, who was, speaking in campus, which is his right, and somebody took his life, many of y'all were cheering. And the double standard is pretty sickening, actually. I'm not celebrating that this person's dead, but Charlie was actually constitutionally exercising freedom of speech. This lady was obstructing justice, interfering with federal officers. On top of that, she lunged the vehicle towards the officer or federal agent, however you want to refer to that person. And then we have this issue that drives me crazy. This media like doxing right here.
CBS News chief correspondent Matt Gutman is live in Minneapolis right now. So, Matt, what is the scene like there right now?
We know that there was another incident about 6 months ago in which, in a very similar situation, we understand, the officer was trying to make an apprehension, we are told, and at some point, The motorist did not stop, did not heed commands. That officer smashed the back window, tried to unlatch or unlock the front door, and that motorist took off, dragging the officer for about 100 yards. Apparently he had to get stitches. Was not seriously injured, but a very similar incident. And, it is something that people here are talking about, that this perhaps is a pattern. But additionally to that, there's a lot of fear in general about these officers. Many of them are masked, Juliet. Some of them are very heavily armed. And the protesters that we've been talking to and the organizers that we've been talking to say that they're much more afraid of them than they are of the regular police, because they believe that these officers would be more willing to shoot people dead. So it is a very different kind of sentiment that we experienced perhaps in the George Floyd protest 5 years ago that rocked this city in particular, but really reverberated across the country. One thing that is not in question is the stamina of some of these protesters, Juliet. One more addendum to that. By and large, the absolute vast majority of protesters that we've seen have been completely peaceful today.
So Matt Gutman is a gutless reporter, in my opinion. You see how he, gives credits to these protesters. Oh, great stamina, and how they're peacefully protesting. Sounds like that CNN back in the day with fire over in back of them, and he's saying they're peacefully protesting. And so he's gutless. I mean, this is the guy that went and said, "Oh, it's so romantic." I'm paraphrasing. So romantic that the love between the alleged shooter and the furry boyfriend. Come on, man. Stop. It's nonsense. Okay. This guy's a joke. And if you see the reporting that he did in this video versus what you're going to see here in a few, it's night and day. And I know they're probably saying, well, one's right wing, one's left wing. The thing is, CBS should automatically be open, right? Not biased. And we know that's almost impossible for CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC. Hell, I even want to put Fox News in that to be centered, to be, just honest about the reporting, not leaning one side or the other side, just being completely showing the facts, right? Like Sergeant Friday used to say, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. But this guy right here, Gutman, whatever freaking name he is, he's gutless is what I call him. When he said that, when the shooter, and reporting on the shooter, the guy who killed, allegedly killed Charlie Kirk, they found out that he had a furry boyfriend or something, or roommate. And, they come out here with this stupidity, really, which is what it is stupidity. And somehow we're supposed to accept this nonsense. We're supposed to be okay with this nonsense and continue to listen to these guys. Honestly, the problem in the country, today's world, is that pretty much liberalism has taken over all media channels, right? So if you think about it, when they start saying, misinformation, what all misinformation meant was that it was against liberalism, and it's a problem, and it shouldn't be that way. But unfortunately, it is in the world we live today. There are some fighting back on that one, but it's kind of hard, man. Free speech is not free anymore, unfortunately. And it is what it is. But what I love are the floor attorneys. Floor attorneys make everything interesting. Floor attorneys make it awesome. Monday quarterbackers, floor attorneys, probably one and the same, make it great because they always put the 2 cents. And I know you're probably accusing me of this, but they always put the 2 cents. The difference between me and this person that I'm going to video them up to show you. I actually did the job. I actually been in that position. I actually have had to make decisions like that. People that go out here telling you, do this, do that, have never done it, right? Never done it. But check this out.
Let's say your gun is holstered and you're standing off to the side of the front of a vehicle. One, you could step aside and pop, pop, pop the tires, or everyone else standing around you could pop, pop, pop the tires. You could shimmy to the side, not pull out your weapon, and just write down the car's license plate and do a proper investigation. But no, from 3 feet away, an ICE agent named Steve held a gun to the face of a 37-year-old woman and shot her fucking face off today.
Now, I had someone ask me one time, did you ever shoot somebody? You know, thank God, no, I did not. Several times, that close, right? But I was so thankful that I never got there. I do have coworkers and friends that actually were in that position, and they're not happy about that position. They're not happy being in that position. They are actually had to get counseling and all that other stuff because for the most part, regardless of what you guys think, cops don't go out there wishing they could shoot people. That's not what cops do. If that's the case, I honestly think they need some help. But for the most part, my friends who actually been involved in shootings, who've been involved in that type of, been involved in that type of scenarios, they've had to get extra help outside of work. They had to, pretty much go to shrinks and psychiatrists and get, help. And by all means, you should get it if you've ever been in that position. But when people like this clown, this lady, whoever she thinks she is, just because she's holding a gun in her hand, doesn't make her an expert. I actually witnessed one time a shooting back home in Philadelphia, and the person shot about 4 or 5 times at the tire. This wasn't a cop, by the way. Shooting 4 or 5 times at a tire. Couldn't hit it once. When it finally hit them, their revolver was out of bullets, right? And the car kept on going. However, there's probably a situation, let's say in this situation right here, like she's claiming, you could have shot the tires or their friends could have shot the tires. Something called ricochet. Bullets ricochet, right? So the same velocity is going into that tire, same velocity is going to bounce right out. So it could bounce on the tire, it could bounce on the rim. Either way, it's reckless and it's stupid. So when people say this stuff, don't listen to them. I had people in the past saying, why don't you shoot them in the leg? Yeah, we don't train to shoot their leg. We shoot for center mass, right? And if you can hit them in the cranium, then it's game over, back in service. But to be honest, I'm glad I've never been in that position. I feel for this, agent, honestly. And, in a way, people, you're putting yourself in that situation. Don't put yourself in that situation. That's just my advice. And a lot of you are getting paid for that nonsense. The reason I got out of law enforcement because of that nonsense, well, majority because of that nonsense. And honestly, it's your life. You do whatever you want with it. But understand that when you go messing around, you're going to find out. Talk to you later.